Hey, everybody, welcome to Across Borders, the show where we just talk about board games. Why? Because, well, they're fun and because they bring people together, even if they are across borders. Like, I'm Winston, this is my buddy Noe, who is across the border. We are separated by the Rio Grande and probably about 1,000 miles. But how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, a few extra kilometers and or
How
miles,
are you tonight?
depending on where you're
Yep,
watching this. I'm doing good, thank you. It's good to talk to
you as
you
well.
again.
You as well. Always good to see you.
Um, yeah, it's a bit hot in here. So we're getting ready for the hot
Yes.
season down here in Mexico.
Summer is definitely coming. I mean,
Oh yeah.
at the time of us recording this, I only have 21 school days left before summer vacation.
Ah, that's
So
good.
looking forward to that. All my teachers out there, you know what I'm talking about. When you get to that last
I
stretch,
do.
you get tired, but you're like, I'm almost there. I've almost reached my 2 months of vacation. Let's face it, most teachers, they enjoy teaching, but they would not give up that summer for even a big raise, most likely.
No.
So, and
No.
hopefully there'll be lots of board games to play.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there's always free time to look forward to do some gaming.
And speaking about that, our show
All
today
right.
is really going to be focused on shelves of shame. And for anyone who might not know what a shelf of shame is, it's when you have games that are sitting on your shelf unplayed. Hopefully, they're not still in the shrink wrap because, I mean, that's like the travesty of all travesties when you've spent all this money and there's a
The
game
biggest
that's
sin.
just still in its wrapper. Um,
Yeah.
but we both have a few of those. We both have a few on our shelf of shame. You more so than me, just
Yeah.
because your collection is much larger than my own. But we have probably played some things in the last week or two. So, Noe, what are some things that you've played recently before we talk about things we haven't played?
Yeah, sure. One of the recent games in the last, let's say, the last couple of weeks, that was pretty fun to play was Hedera, which can't remember the name of the designer off the top of my head, but I think it's a great gateway game. So that was pretty fun. And we also had a session last week with my one of my siblings. He likes board games as well. He doesn't collect up a bunch of games, but whenever he gets a chance to play with me and my wife, he's always into it. And we got to play Celestia, which is another fun little uh, light game
Mm-hmm.
with some nice complexity. And we got to play the Take Five, which is another quick party game, card game that we enjoy a lot.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I've been playing a few things by myself. Um, so lately, my favorite thing to play by myself is Sonora by Pandasaurus Games. It's
All
a
right.
flick and write game where you're flicking your pieces and then performing one of the four mini games that are on the board. There's official rules for solo play, but I don't do the official rules. I just flick my disc and wherever they end up, I I play those little mini games trying to beat my own high score. It's
Nice.
not the right way to play, but you know what? I enjoy doing it, and a lot of times my 2-year-old comes. She wants to play games with me all the time, and
Yeah.
especially with writing, anything with rolling or dice or writing anything, and she enjoys
Cool.
flicking those things. But other than that, my family and I we just started a campaign of My City, which
Oh
is our
yeah.
first
Yeah.
my first legacy game.
Legacy
Not
game.
my
Yeah.
first campaign game, but my first legacy game. And when I
Right.
told my family the first thing we're going to do is name our cities and we're going to write the name of the town on the board, they
Yeah.
were like,
What?
"Are you
Actually
you
writing?
want me to do what?" Because they know that I'm usually very like I'm trying to think of a nice word to say where I don't want anything to spill on my stuff or I mean
Yeah, you take care
yeah,
of your
because
games.
I
Yeah.
mean one time we were playing Ticket to Ride and my sister-in-law spilled a cup of coffee all over the cards
Oh
and
gosh,
you know
a nightmare of every
I didn't
gamer.
freak out on the outside on the inside I freak out a little bit more. But we got everything cleaned up. So when I said write on the board and we're going to put stickers on the board and we're going to change the board up, and they were like, huh? But we played. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a tile laying game where there's 24 different scenarios, and they build on each other. The first one was super easy, and then this next one you added a layer, and then the third one you added a layer, and that's as far as we got. But hopefully we can get the next three at least done this weekend because we usually play on Sundays.
Nice, nice. So, what was your logic behind this list? What was your criteria
My criteria,
for your shelf of shame
shelf of shame. Well,
for choosing these
what I
games?
did, I wrote down every single game I owned.
Right.
It's still
Okay.
fairly easy for me to do that. It takes some time, but for whatever reason, I actually enjoy writing those things down.
Yeah.
And then I highlighted all the things I had not played, whether they were full base games or expansions. And then I wrote those on a list. And then I highlighted all the expansions and excluded them. I did not count expansions. I only
All right.
counted base games. And when I was done with my list, I had 16. But then I played my city this past weekend, so my city got taken off.
Yeah, that had to
And
go. Yeah,
and
had to
actually,
go.
it would have made my top five games that I really want to play on my shelf of shame. But it's been excused. But that's how I did it. And then I really, honestly, I puzzled out all 15. Like which one? Like this is the one I want to play the most. This is the one I want to play the least. Still want to play it, of course, but
Right, right.
and it's actually number 15 is Azul, and that's only because I
Oh,
have I bought Stained Glass of Sintra first, and that's one that my wife and I play every now and then that she likes, or at least tolerates better than some of the other ones. And we already have an Azul game, but I don't want to get rid of it because a good friend of mine, he gave that to me after my father passed away last year. So it has some
okay.
sentimental value, but I'm not just in a
Yeah,
hurry to play it since I already have played the
play it.
second one. Now what about you? How did you decide? Because you have a monster list of games that you
Yeah, I
own
do.
and a monster list of things you have not played.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, no, I think that I was going through my shelves and just kind of writing things down. I do have a list in Board Game Geek, but what I haven't updated is some of the plays in there. So, I really needed to just kind of jump in visually. It's easier for me than just going through the list, just kind of see my games in there. And I was just like going down through, some of those games that not only like way back to when I started the hobby, like about 8 years ago, but also some recent games that can be included in that list. And so, yeah, this you'll see that. What one thing I noticed is that most of these games are fairly new, except for one, which you will see which one it is. But yeah, no, I think as the time has passed, when with me getting involved in the hobby, I think yeah, my expectations have grown bigger in what I expect in some games. So these games are hyped for several reasons that
Sure.
we will go
Yeah.
through.
So we decided to see if we could we could select the five
I
games,
did.
and you had a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't have quite as many as you did, but you helped me out because you sent me a list about 20-25 games that you
Yeah.
might have chosen from. And then from that, I said, well, if what do I think Noah really wants to play? And if I don't know your number one, you're lying to me and to everyone out there listening, from all of our daily chats that we have in
Yeah.
conversations. But we did try to see if we could pick or choose, guess each
Some of
other's
those
top
games. Yeah.
five. They don't have to be in any order, but
Yep.
just kind of for a fun thing for ourselves, just to see how well we know each other. I do
Yeah.
feel like you will probably have an easier time than I will. I think you're going to get more than I do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get at least two, maybe three of
Yeah.
these.
And what was interesting
Yeah.
of the list you sent me and of mine, we actually have two games in common. I don't want to
Yeah.
say what they are
Yeah.
in case they appear on anyone's list, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
exactly.
So why don't you go ahead, Noe, and start us with your number five?
All right, number five, and like you said, this is in no particular
Oh,
order.
oh, mine are in order.
Oh, are
Mine
yours
is
are
in
okay?
order.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. Mine are not in no particular order of hype or anything. These are just games that I really want to play for several
Yeah.
reasons. But I'm gonna go through them. So the first one that I want to show you and everyone looking at this video, it's Sleeping Gods by Ryan Lockat.
I thought about this one, but I thought it was too new. So I thought maybe
Yeah,
and oh,
and
go ahead. It's your game.
yeah, the quick reason why this is one of those games that I really want to play is, first of all, I'm a big fan of Ryan
Yeah,
Lockat.
I mean, I've never
I
played any of
mean,
his games, but his artwork and the way things just like the quality is always top notch. What
yeah,
I've seen.
exactly. And I mean, he's one of those. I admire him as a designer as well because he does it all. Like he does a bunch of his community management. He does designing, like graphic designing, mechanics designing. Like he builds most of the games from the ground up by
Yeah,
himself.
it's incredible.
Which it's crazy. I mean, when you know how some of the aspects of some of these games just take a long time, just like to design a little card, it's I think it's a great job. And this game specifically, one of the reasons why, well, there's a few reasons, but at least a couple of them. One of them is not only the fact that I'm a big fan of his games, because most of the games that he has I own and I really like them. But I know that for a fact that in an interview, I can't remember exactly where, but he mentioned when he was interviewed that this was like his life work of sorts.
Hmm.
It was like one of those games that he had been investing the most time, and it had been like it took years in the making. Like he has been releasing like every year a bunch of games, usually maybe one or two games at least every year on his
Hmm.
company. But as far as I remember from what I heard in an interview is that this specific game, it's one that he has been working on like for a while
Hmm.
now, and so yeah, and I'm a big fan of the Seventh Continent, which it's a great game. I haven't finished it yet, but I played a few games of that, and so this is kind of like his take on like an adventure driven game. So yeah, this is my first game, Sleeping Gods by Ryan Lockhart.
Awesome. My number five um, is much smaller than Sleeping Gods, um, but it's something that's very familiar and near and dear to your heart, and that is Dice Throne. Dice,
I nailed the first
Dice
one.
Throne. Well, we talked about playing this like in the next couple of days or something over
Yeah,
online, but I love rolling dice. I was a
yeah,
little intimidated by this at first, just because I thought, I mean, $25 doesn't seem like a lot of money for a game, but when you think, I get two characters, I get two
yeah,
characters, and I did buy two boxes of these, but I love dice games. Call me Ameritrash, whatever, but just in battling games and two-player games, just
yeah,
everything together,
yeah,
and of course the components with the trays. I'm a
yeah,
sucker for things like that, art, trays, and dice.
yeah. The production
It's
values are
just
just
it's amazing. And
amazing.
I got this one, and then the Treant and the Ninja, which, yeah,
Sweet.
the Ninja though. How boring is that? Like, who came up with that one? Like Pyromancer, Shadow Thief. Those are cool.
Yeah,
Ninja.
yeah. No,
That's pretty
exactly.
basic. Come on, Roxley Games, step up, step it up. No, but I'm looking forward to playing that one quite a bit. Uh,
Yeah, no, I played that with my oldest kid. He's 13. He really liked it because it's like you said, it's a fast paced game, and then the fact that each one of the characters has so different, so that gives you a lot of depth when learning each one of the characters and how their powers work, and the dice chucking, and yeah, no, I think it's a great
And I'm
game.
definitely hoping to get that one off the list very soon.
Yeah, soon,
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 maybe
exactly.
even like Friday. Who knows? Who
Cool.
knows? Depending on when we can
Yeah,
schedule our times together. That late night gaming
sure.
session when, families are starting to wind down and go to bed.
Everyone's Yeah, the people you may hear my
Yeah.
kids in the background, but
Hey,
they're
we're
still screaming their
we are
lungs
both
out.
family guys. We are both family
Yeah,
men, ladies and gentlemen, who might be watching. So you get what you get, You get what you get. We've
exactly.
got kids. We love them. We try to play games with them. And
We do.
maybe you can even play your number 4 game with your family sometime soon. What is your number 4 game?
Yeah, my number four, and this is probably from all these games. I will say now that I've been thinking that you are going by hype. This might be
Well,
either
not
my
really hype, just how much I want to play them.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. How much I want to play them. That I think it's kind of tied with my top one that I want to play. Right now, I'm just sorting them
No,
out because all of these are
yeah,
pretty big.
you
But
need to save number 1 for number 1.
yeah, and so this guy is Vindication
I did get that one. I did get that one.
for by Orange Nebula Games. Yeah, no, this game. It's a I have the Kickstarter version, so I have a bunch of expansions and everything in here. Great game. From what
Yeah,
I've seen,
because we
I
haven't
haven't
played.
been able
We
to play
haven't.
it. And yeah, I mean, this one of the reasons why this game has been such a big hype for me, and definitely one that I've wanted to play and I haven't brought to the table. One of the reasons is it's one of those games where one thing I found in common in these games, except probably my top one that I want to play the most, is that they can seem daunting because they're big boxes with tons of production.
Hmm.
But I think as games have moved forward, both Vindication and Sleeping Gods and one of the other games that I'm going to be showing a little bit later on, they all share something common, and it's the fact that they're big games that have a big scope, but they're not necessarily long.
Hmm.
Like they can be played in maybe 2 3 hours, and they're not necessarily that complicated either. Like they've been able to get like a very good balance of complexity, strategy, while at the same time that it being accessible and not overly complicated. I mean, of course, they're still not like the first game that you will bring to a
Yeah,
table
they're
of
not Yahtzee.
newbies.
It's
No,
not
yeah, no, exactly. They're
apples to
not
apples.
Uno, right? But still, I don't think it will be both Vindication, like I said, and Sleeping Gods, and some of the other games that I have here. They will not be overly complicated or hard to explain as maybe a second or third game.
Hmm.
Increasing in complexity. So yeah, that's what I like about this Vindication. It's beautiful, has awesome inserts. Like I said, from what I've seen and from reading the manual, it's not really that long, and so yeah. And one of the reasons why I haven't been able to play it is that it takes a lot of space in the table,
For sure.
and so like you, when I've been doing my fair share of maybe solo gaming or gaming with my wife, we don't usually have like either a lot of space on the table or I've been waiting to play this game with at least 3 or 4 players because I know that that's like a better player count. It doesn't play that well with two
Hmm.
because of how the interactions go, and so that's one of the reasons why I think most of these games I will have already played them if not for the pandemic.
Yeah, of course. We can blame that for
So
all of this. This actually should be about, not shelf of shame, but shelf of pandemic.
right, yeah, exactly. And I know Sleeping Gods is good for 2 players, but that's fairly new. Like it came out maybe what, a month ago,
Yeah,
a couple of
you
months ago.
probably got it like maybe February, maybe
Yep.
later because you get yours a little bit later because of your situation. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly. Because I'm across the
yeah,
border.
across borders. Um, so
How about you? You're
well,
4.
you talked about wanting to play Vindication with like 3 or 4. My next one, I could play solo. There's a solo variant. I could play with two. There's a two-player variant, but I don't want to. I want to play with at least 3 people because it's Dune Imperium, and
I got
yeah,
another one.
and you know, I don't, I don't want to play Dune Imperium where I have an app doing 2 different characters. I
Right.
want to play with human friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I have human friends that want to play as well. It's just really,
Yeah.
we have not been as strict on the whole staying inside and staying away from others here in Texas as a lot
Yeah.
of places have been, which is one reason why I was able to, during last summer, go to a friend's house every week and go through a campaign of something that may or may not be on your list. I don't think it is, but it might be. Um, so they'll come over. It's just a matter of, finding time when you're not at work and
Exactly.
you have kids.
Yeah.
But Dune Imperium, never read Dune, never watched Dune, but everyone was just so excited about it. And as I started reading it and seeing more and more things about the game, and after I bought the game, I bought the book and started reading it. So definitely looking forward to playing this one with some people.
That was a very close. That nearly made it into my
Yeah.
list. And
I'm sorry. What's really
it,
sad though is I wanted to play that one more than Lost Ruins of Arnak
yeah,
or Arnok, and I got Lost Ruins after I got that one, but I did go through that one, not solo,
yeah, the
but
solo.
with as
Oh,
by
okay.
myself, but as playing as 2 different characters,
Oh,
just to
yeah,
try
yeah,
to
yeah.
get the rules and understand how things
Yeah,
worked. And I count that. I count that as a play. Um,
it
I
does.
counted it, but I feel like I've cheated on Dune a little bit because even though Lost Ruins is way more gorgeous, I think I'm gonna enjoy Dune a lot playing with my friends.
Yeah, no, also, like I said, this nearly made it into my
Yeah,
list. It's also fairly new, but I read the book. I actually read the book, and I think it's one of the best sci-fi books I've ever read. I just read the first one. I didn't, push
yeah.
myself to read the
There's
others.
a few of them.
I wasn't.
There's a
Was that?
few of them I've
Yeah, there's
discovered.
like 6 or 7 books. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think they just grow in complexity and they become too
Yeah,
convoluted for my taste. But yeah, no, I mean, this is based, and also I'm very much looking forward to the newer
yeah.
movie that
I
hasn't been
would definitely
released.
watch it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so yeah, this is probably my sixth or
Yeah.
seventh hyped game from my shelf of shame.
All right. Well, what's number 3?
All right, so number 3, I'm pretty sure this one you nailed it.
Let's see.
Um,
Is it a really big box? Oh, yep.
yes, it's a big
Yeah.
box. It's Dwellings of Eldervale.
Yeah. Also known as the game you are totally making me jealous about because I was going to buy this one when they started selling it online and then saw what you're going to charge me that much money and then make me pay shipping as well. Pff, forget y'all.
Yeah.
So, and then,
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, this is a game that it looks beautiful. It has also like great components, and I think like I mentioned before, uh, along with Vindication, it's on that same league. Where it's not overly complicated.
mhm,
It's deep and it's accessible. It's not overly long. So yeah, I mean, definitely one of those games that I really really want to play. This one might see the table as I know for a fact from some of the reviews I've seen and some of the interviews and whatever talks on the game. I know for a fact that the solo version is very good as well.
yeah, it seems pretty cool
I've
from what I've heard.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually from I do remember that might be another conversation, on solo gaming, but usually solo games are either like just some extra mechanics push maybe for selling the game more, or it doesn't feel like the full game. And I know that this is one of those games where the actual solo is really good. So this is one that might make it to the table at least first as a with the solo mode as a solo play game, and then probably try to bring it with more people as the pandemic gets better.
Well, I definitely did have this one on on the list. I had this one at number 2, so I was a little off. But you said you were,
Wow.
I had Vindication at number 5. It just barely made my I think you're going to say this list. So,
Nice.
yeah, I did okay. I did okay. Now, do you have the standee version or the mini version?
I have.
You had the standee version, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
standard version. Yeah.
And that's because you back so many things.
I
You
do.
back so-
Well, I used to back so many things.
You're showing some restraint in your older
I
age.
do. Yeah. I know that there's a bunch of other games that I'm waiting for, but probably not as many.
That's another topic as well.
Exactly.
Games we are waiting for from Kickstarter. Yeah. So, my number 3,
All
and
right.
honestly, I think you're going to have my whole list. Like, I really do. But, and this is my biggest box that I'm going to be showing. It's Galaxy Hunters
Galaxy Hunters
by
yes,
IDW Games. And
I have it.
I saw this game and immediately thought what everyone probably immediately thought when they saw this on Kickstarter, although I did not back it on Kickstarter, and I saved a lot of money by not backing it on Kickstarter.
Wise.
Because I paid about half for this in the expansion than it would have cost me for this in the expansion and shipping and the extra minis. But they really are they worth $50-$60? Probably not. But I looked at this and I said, Pacific Rim. I love Pacific Rim. I love movies by Guillermo del Toro. You're from your hometown. And I thought, how cool is it? Number one, the minis are massive. They're about, this big.
Nice.
And when you compare them to something like Zombicide Black Plague, when they're like this big.
Yeah, which they're much smaller.
But this, even though it's like this epic game where you're, building a mech up and fighting these mutants, it's a worker placement game.
Nice.
And I like worker placement games. It does seem like there's an awful lot of worker placement games. I'm thinking very strongly about writing a blog post about why is everything worker placement games? Why is everything that's really hyped seem to be worker placement games?
It's a very popular mechanic.
But I'm really looking forward to it. This one is going to be a table hog because there's a board, a regular size game board. Then each person has a individual board about this big.
Wow.
Plus the pilot and the mech boards are, when you put them together, are about that big. And then you're putting things around that have to be on the table. This is gonna
plus all the components and tokens and
this is just going to this is going to consume my table. Even if
table.
There's not solo rules, but I'm sure this summer I've got at least one friend who's also a teacher. Shout out to you, Mike. But I'm sure he would sit down and go, space theme? Nice. Yeah, I'll play that one. So
make us.
This is my biggest box game that I own so far. I haven't had any Kickstarters deliver yet.
Not yet, but
they're coming. Sorry, babe. All right, man. You're number 2.
All right, my number 2, and this is my number 1 hype that I'm pretty sure you know which one it is. I'm pretty sure you can call it.
Yeah, dude. Why is this not your number 1?
Yeah, no, it's like I said. This is not a list in order. The other game that I have left.
Okay,
the box is kind of weird.
I don't know if you can see that. It's number 1. It's number 1.
This is yeah. In terms of the games that I want to play the most, this is definitely number one. So you definitely
Yeah.
nailed that. Yeah. No. I mean, Nemesis. It. You know, there's a bunch um of things that I can check on the games that I really like. I like co-op games, or at least semi co-op.
Hmm.
You know. I also like some games where they have these element of surprise where you can backstab your opponents because of a secret agenda,
Hmm.
and this one checks that mark. I also like sci-fi themed games with a heavy emphasis on theme,
Yeah.
and this is a very thematic
For sure.
game.
For sure.
Exactly. I like minis. I like. I'm a big fan of space horror video games and films. So this is also themed on that whole space running away from aliens
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things that check marks that it just it checks. Um, but I think one of the reasons why it hasn't been brought into the table is, like I said, this is one of those games that I think require at least 3 or 4
Hmm.
players to be a
For
better
sure.
experience, and it's a longer game. This one I know for a fact that takes a few hours, so it requires a specific group, and we do play with we started to in the last few months to see some friends that they love games, and they they've grown to uh, love some of these more complex games, but still we, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to just bring it to the table, either because of a time constraint, and whenever we meet each other it's maybe just something more lightweight,
Hmm.
or maybe they have 1 or 2 additional guests and we end up playing something that's much lighter. So yeah, that's why it's hard to bring to the table. It requires at least 3 or 4 players, and it's definitely more a heavier game than the
Yeah.
usual. So
Your number two and my number three have something in common. They are both games that immediately make someone think of a science fiction movie, but it has no relationship to that movie. Mine
yeah,
Pacific Rim, yours with Alien.
Alien,
So,
exactly.
all right, my number two.
Bring it.
Uh, Scythe.
Scythe. Ah, gosh, I
You didn't
didn't
get
get
this
that
one?
one.
This
No,
Stonemeyer
I thought.
classic.
Yeah, I thought you had played it.
No, I have not played this one. Um, and honestly, of
It's
all the
a great
games
game.
on my shelf of shame, this is the one that scares me the most. It intimidates me a little bit, and I can't tell you how many times I've watched a how to play video, and
Right.
even the watch it played video with the
Yeah.
great Rodney Smith. He makes a mistake in there, and there's like a second video that corrects the mistake he made,
Correct
and
the mistake. Yeah. If the
that's
great
it's like
Rodney Smith
like
mess it up.
how do you do that, Mr. Smith? Like we thought you were perfect. Um,
Right.
but definitely want to play this one. This one right here and my number one both have really made me. I told you about how I wanted to try to get some guys together and do my own mini con, where we just brought a couple games we wanted to play. We
Oh yeah.
rented an
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb somewhere and we just played games.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
This one and my number one are the main reasons why I thought about that. And I know some guys, same guys. I think I can convince them to play this one. It's just going to be
Yeah.
one of those that takes probably at least an hour and a half longer than it should the first time around, and that kind of scares me. You know.
Yeah, no, that's and I've played it a few times before. It's a great game, and once you play it, you're gonna be surprised on how uh it's very
Yeah,
straightforward. Yeah, there's a bunch of rules and whatnot, but once you get the hang of it,
it makes sense.
it really is not
Yeah,
that complicated. Yeah, it makes sense.
and
It's very streamlined, in how it was
and
designed.
like all Stonemaier games, the production is great.
Yeah,
Mine's
yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
what the difference is between the retail and the Kickstarter version. Mine is definitely retail, but even then, everything is very well put together and
Yeah.
high quality. I think I've taken stuff out and like put it in little uh, Dollar Tree, dollar store containers that I
Yeah.
buy to make things a little bit more organized. But looking forward to that one. And but that's all I got
Definitely.
to say. Mechs and farming.
Yeah.
So we've arrived to the number
Yeah,
one.
number one. And yeah, this is like I
Okay.
said, this is not my number one in games how I want to play it. But this has been sitting. Okay, has the not very proud distinction of sitting in my shelf probably for the
Oh, then I'm
longest.
probably wrong. Um, I have two guesses at what it was, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure they're both wrong. The first one I thought of because I thought you would take. I did think you would take how long it's been on your shelf into consideration,
yeah.
but I also
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about what would be the most difficult to play in the past year. And so the first thing I thought of that you haven't mentioned yet is Clank Legacy. But based on what you just said, I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
Not
no,
Clank Legacy.
it's not.
And then the second one I put down here that you haven't mentioned is Spirit Island.
Nope.
See, I didn't think so.
No. Yeah.
I only got I only
Yeah.
got three of your five.
Right. And the reason why you didn't get it is because I haven't talked too much about
Yeah,
it. And you'll see
you put
why.
some oldies on there on the list that you gave me to choose from.
Oh, this is heavy. So it's Tannhäuser.
Ah, you have talked about that with me once or
Yep.
twice. So go ahead.
Yeah, this is a big box and it has a bunch of expansions as well. I bought it with expansions. So yeah, this game I got it as you gamers know out there. This is a very rare find nowadays. It's very hard to find. And it can be very expensive. So this is one of my, like my jewels in my collection, because the Fantasy Flight lost their license for the whatever thing. I don't know. They came into some issues, and so it's been out of print for
Hmm.
years now. Um, and so this game it has that distinction because when I bought it, I've had it for maybe 6 or 7 years now. Yeah,
That's longer than I've been alive in the gaming industry, at least.
in the gaming, yeah, as a modern board gamer. Yeah, so this game is like I said, when I started with I remember my maybe 10 or 15 games. It was one of the first games I bought.
Wow.
Um, and this I just bought it because I really like the art, and I remember it was pretty cheap in Amazon in one of my trips to the U.S. Um, and yeah, I don't remember exactly how much it cost. It was like 50 or 60 bucks, which even like at that time was cheap because it was usually like 80 bucks. Um, and one of the reasons why it hasn't been seen the table is because it's more like a two-player game, like a war
Hmm.
two-player game, and the theme can be a bit dark. It's not really as dark as maybe other games, but it's still it has a bit of like monsters and a bit of like witchcraft in there, and because the story about the game is that it's an alternate 1940s aftermath of the
Yeah,
war where the
yeah, the
Nazis
Germans
are.
won the war, right?
Yeah, and the Germans are just dabbling in the occult, and so your job as a is to just avoid for them to do that. And so one player plays as the Germans, and the other player plays as
As
Axis and
Hellboy,
allies.
I mean, because Hellboy taught me
I,
that Germans did in fact dabble in the occult.
right. It has some of that. But yeah, no, and it's a fairly complex game. Maybe not the most complex game I own, but it's fairly complex, and that's why it's been hard to bring to the table. Because usually when I play two-player games, it's with my wife,
Hmm.
and I know that this is something that she will probably not enjoy because of how complex it
Yeah.
is, and the theme and a bunch of other factors. So I'm trying to find someone, maybe a friend that I can play it with, that may be more interested. And it's also quite a long game. I'm not sure how long does it say in the box, but from what I know, it does take at least 2 to 3 hours.
Hmm.
As a two-player game. So that's my first one, or well, my last one really, Tannhäuser.
Well, all right. Do you have any guesses at what my number one is?
I have two. Let's see if I
Uh huh.
nailed them. So the first one is Fort.
Yeah. And why did you choose that one? May I ask?
Um, really, because that's one that I know for sure that you haven't played.
Yeah. And,
So,
and
and I was going through your list, and I know that there were a few expansions, and I'm like, no, he's not choosing any
yeah.
expansions. And so,
And,
that was
and
really,
you got
really,
that for me for Christmas.
yeah, no,
So
I
there
bought it
should be
for
some
you,
extra
but
motivation for me to play that one. But no,
right,
I think it was like 7 or 8 on my list,
right. And the other one is in the Hall of Mountain King.
which is one that we both own that we both haven't played.
Yep, exactly.
Interesting. Well, my number one is in the Hall of the Mountain King.
I got
Yeah.
it.
So you got 4 out of 5. That's pretty good. Um,
Yeah, that was fun.
everyone who talks about this game, who reviews this game, who's played this game, talks about when you choose a troll and you add it to your little, they call it a troll's moot. I'm guessing little, like your troll army, your troll posse, your troll gang, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
your troll daycare. I don't know. But and when you add it to your trolls, you get the resource for that troll and then the resources for all the trolls underneath it that the card touches.
it looks
Everyone
fun.
talks about how amazing that is, and you know what? I bet it's fun.
Yeah,
And then they go, "Oh yeah," and then there's the tile laying polyomino thing. I love the tile laying polyomino thing. So you get this aspect of a game that everyone's like, just this is amazing. They should do a game that's just using this over here, and you add it to, trading in resources for a polyomino tile, and then using that to get to different places inside a mountain. I'm ready to go. I'm ready
right.
to go, and I have bought the co-op version / solo mode. Yet still, it sits here un, unplayed.
Un- unplayed.
Unplayed. Definitely number one. Um, my wife bought this one for me for Christmas by
Yeah.
Burnt Island Games, who everyone talks about their quality, and it's definitely up there. I'm very sad that my box was brought to me messed up here.
Slightly
Yeah.
damaged. Yeah.
And, right here, oh man, look at that. Oh, so sad. There goes its resale value. As if I would sell this one. I'm not going to sell you in the Hall of the Mountain King with your terrifying trolls. I can't wait to play this game. I just can't.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just can't.
For sure.
And but I don't know when I'll play it.
Right.
And that's
Exactly.
the thing about these games. Like my number five, the what was number five? Dice Throne.
For me.
No, for me,
Oh yeah.
Dice Throne.
No, for you. Yeah. You're that
Dice
strong.
Throne.
Yeah.
We can play that one. You're a master. It's a game that's close to to your heart. You have a very
Yeah.
personal relationship with that one because of playing it with your son. That one can get off the list really easily. I think
Yeah.
the other four, it's going to take the right situation and the
Same
right
here.
people, and
Yeah.
that's kind of difficult.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think from my list, the only one that we'll probably see the table soon is the Dwellings of Eldervale, but as a solo,
Yeah.
mode. Other than that, yeah, these other games, though I really want to play them like you,
Hmm.
yeah, they're gonna require the right people in the right
We,
time,
we
unfortunately.
we sound
So
like lonely gamers. You know,
yeah,
we're gonna have to play it
well,
solo.
yeah, we gotta thank the
Yeah,
pandemic for that.
I mean, yet we sound like people who live in our mother's basement. You know,
Right? Yeah.
play the games by myself. But we both have wives. Well, one wife. We each have one wife, and we have children.
Yeah,
You know,
we
and
do.
we have. I mean, you live right next door to your brother.
Yeah.
My brother lives, 15, 20 minutes down the road. We can play these games, but we sound really like lonely, desperate gamers.
Right.
Please play something with us.
Yeah. Play with us,
Please.
please.
But man, Noah, it's awesome talking to you as always.
Always.
Um,
Yeah.
Uh, we need to get these things off our shelves of shame. And I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but if I play a, a version, if I play it on Tabletopia or however we play games, whatever we use, I
Yeah.
count that as playing it.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah,
I was
for
watching
sure.
a video today where he talked about games that, oh, I've played someone else's copy, but not mine. Well, then I don't count that as my shelf of shame, personally.
Yeah.
Because if so, then viticulture's up on there. Uh,
Champions of
for
Midgard.
you, oh no, I played that actually. I played it with you,
Oh yeah,
and then
you do. You own it,
and then
and
I
you play
played it.
with. Yeah, I know.
Sentinels of the Multiverse. I played that one. I really liked it. As long as you have the app to help you keep track of all the numbers,
Yeah. Mhm.
you know, those would be up there as well. But I count that.
Yep,
I count that.
for sure.
You know what? You know what would be a shame? It would be a shame if the listeners out there didn't like and subscribe. Make a comment. Tell
Yeah.
us about, games that you have that you haven't played, or which one of our games we should play first, or
Yeah, put it in the
yeah, any
comments.
suggestions on how we can play these games, or just tell me to get over my fear of Scythe and just play it for goodness sake. Just play it.
Right on.
Or maybe the solo rules for Dune Imperium aren't that difficult. Just get the app, you silly guy.
Yeah.
But no matter what, games really can bring us together. I mean,
Yep,
if
for
it
sure.
wasn't for board games, you and I would not know each other at all.
Exactly.
And we talk to each other every day.
Yeah,
And so board games truly bring people together. It can bring
they
all
do.
kinds of people from all backgrounds, all races, religions, you know, whatever. We can all come to the table. We can
Just play
and
something.
we can share an experience together. They build bridges. They really do cross
Yep.
borders. And
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to next time we talk, buddy. And we need
Yes,
to
sir.
arrange that time to play some Dice
That's
Throne. Let's do it. Let's do it
yeah.
soon.
So, all right. So, thank you everyone for
Yes. Thank you.
watching. Everyone out there, we wish you happy gaming, and thank you for joining us
Yeah.
today.
God bless.
Take care.